Welcome back, everyone, to the Love and Meaning podcast. I am 𝘓𝘢𝘶𝘳𝘓. I have a very exciting episode today. I have my dear friend, Lauren Staggers here. She is from the Intuitive One. I'm going to introduce her to you. I'm going to read you her bio, and then I'm going to have her share a little bit about herself and why I am so excited to have her here. So Lauren is the psychic sage of intuition. She is a multidimensional beacon of light. I can attest to this, and an intuitive luminary for the awakening of collective consciousness. She holds a master's degree in education in clinical mental health counseling. She's an independent clinical counseling has independent clinical counseling licensure, 200-hour yoga and meditation instructor certification, Reiki level 2 certification, education in sound healing. She is a trained EMDR trauma therapy practitioner as well. She considers herself a lifelong student of vibrational studies and astrology. She owns the Intuitive One, and this is where I found her, which consists of intuition services and a global energetic plus spiritual podcast that serves as a platform to explore intuition from a multidimensional approach. She has a number of amazing services, and I'm going to have Lauren tell you all about that in a second. But as you know, on the podcast, we've been talking about intuition for a minute now. It's been flowing from human design into making decisions, into how to fully show up in your humanness and your spirituality. I feel like intuition can't be left out of it. And I wanted to have someone who really is quite an expert on the topic. So, Lauren, welcome.
Thanks.
Please let everyone know the amazing services that you offer if they're interested and they want to look you up further.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. I provide psychic services, astrology services, intuition guidance. So I don't really like using the word coaching, but it's similar to coaching. I'm just not a big fan of power differential, and I'm just, you'll see I'm just very intricate with my thought patterns. So, but yeah, I provide that. I also provide professional intuition coaching. And basically we look at the astrology and your energy and also the chart of your business. So this is for individuals who are really just wanting to go their own way. You don't necessarily have to have a business to have the professional coaching, but this is more of like kind of the business world. And what I do is look at your individual birth chart, your natal chart, and then also the chart of your business and kind of look at the synastry between the two, any opportunities that there might be within the business, and how the energy can really work cohesively with what I see. Additionally, I do provide EMDR trauma therapy. Currently, right now, I'm not taking new clients. And I think that's, and yes, I think that's it. I'm also releasing a course, and that will be released officially on the 3rd of September. And today I am starting the early bird pricing, so I'm still working on it. But basically this course is going to be all about trusting your intuition. It's going to provide information related to the chakras, your energy channels, as well as the cosmos, so different planets and how they really align with intuition. And then I also provide psychoeducation of the nervous system. And it's kind of an immersive experience. So it's not just education, but there's also a lot of things to contemplate and work through. There will be sound healing, there will be meditation. So it's kind of everything that we talk about today will be intertwined with it. And it's been on my heart for several years now to make this course. And I'm so excited. So yeah, I'm excited to be here, and those are the things that I'm up to right now. So
Wow, that is amazing. And the timing is perfect because I had no idea that Lauren was launching this course. So I feel so honored to be the platform for you to announce that. Oh, that is so cool. And I also had never heard of your business having a chart, like a natal chart. So that has entirely blown my mind. I learned that today. And so I will definitely be getting a reading with you for my business.
Always
because that's just amazing. I think that could be so beneficial.
It's pretty powerful. It's definitely, it shows you I mean, it gives you a very holistic perspective of not just you, but also your business and how you operate in that partnership. You know, you were mentioning 𝘠𝘓𝘠𝘠, and 𝘠𝘠𝘠 came to me through a meditation, actually. And I believe that 𝘠𝘠𝘠 came to me, and I'm just channeling what I need into this business. It's not mine. It's like a movement almost, but I'm kind of the person that was chosen by the universe to like put it out there.
I
So
love that.
having that kind of approach, it is really cool to like look at the energetics between the individual and then also the business.
No, that's such a beautiful way to look at the collaboration with your business as if it is this living, breathing entity, this
So yeah,
entity that needs love like anything else, you know?
yeah,
That just the thought of that before even getting the reading, like just even framing my business in that way in these last 10 seconds did something on
yeah,
the inside. Like, wow, I never even considered thinking about it like in that way. And that's so beautiful and that feels very connecting. So
yeah,
that is that is awesome.
yeah.
So
Because
you started telling us a little bit about how the intuitive one came to you. So why don't we start there? Can you
yeah,
tell us a little bit about your story and how the intuitive one was created and kind of what brought you into this world of astrology and energetics and frequency and all the amazing things that you do?
yeah. So, I've always, my whole life, I've always been at this point, it's kind of like a star seed almost, but I just kind of felt like an observer. I always found myself in the spaces of being the observer. And not to go too much into like the childhood and whatnot, in moving forward through all of that in 2022, that's when I entered my spiritual awakening. And that's where I truly found myself. Before then, I was connected to energy and to all that is, but I didn't have clarity on that until I went
Mm,
through my spiritual awakening. And if anybody that is listening is into astrology, that was the year that Pluto went in my ninth house, which has to do with spirituality, higher learning, astrology. And at that time, I was obtaining, the certifications that you mentioned. I was going through a transformation. I entered into basically a cocoon, and it was so powerful. It started out in a sauna, actually, and I got an intuitive message that was like, prepare for a move. And I had no idea what this was. Like the voice was very distinct, but I was like, prepare for a move. Like, what the heck? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? My analytical mind was like, where, what am I doing? And it was definitely like a download, or it was a calling. I was called to prepare for a move. And the call was not to move, it was to prepare for a move. And so when I finally realized that, it took a while to realize that. I had applied to a school to become a doctor, and I got an interview, like a naturopathic doctor, because I'm like, maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to move, blah, blah, blah. And so when I finally chilled, I wasn't following my intuition, I was following my analytical mind.
mhm.
Um, I had the opportunity to go to Sedona, and a lot of people that I had met, I'd never been to Sedona. They're like, Lauren, have you ever been to Sedona? Like you would love it. Like it's just your vibes. Like you would totally love it. I'm like, okay, I don't even know what that means, but all right. And I had this opportunity to go. And so it was like a few months ahead of time that I got the opportunity to go. And I said yes. And I got this intuitive glimpse of like, you need to prepare because something's waiting out there for you. And this was when I had entered into my spiritual awakening. So I was getting a lot of downloads. All the while, there was a lot of, I didn't know yet what was to come, because in the awakening process, there's a lot that happens. Or at least that was my experience. And I was just entering into it. Now on the other side, I can see that. At that time, I didn't know. And so I was preparing, I was doing sauna, I was meditating, and I didn't really know what to expect. I was like, is my ex gonna be there? Like, am I gonna do some kind of weird healing? Like, I don't know what's waiting out there, but I know that now if the universe tells me to prepare, I prepare. And for me, an intuition, that means alignment, that means clarity. The highest frequency of intuition is clarity. And so with that, it's very important to be aligned. And that's with this course, that's something I really try to echo that I'm putting out is alignment is so key with trusting your intuition and understanding how it operates. So anyway, I was doing all these things, taking walks, doing just self-nurturing and listening to the wind, listening to the synchronies, being open to receive. And so when I went out there, I knew something was going to be there for me. I didn't know what, but I knew I would know when it would show. Like it was that distinct of the co-creation process and trusting my intuition. And when you show up and to co-create, the universe shows back that it's a partnership. So anyway, yeah, I don't know if you want me to go super into this story, but this was the start of my intuitive. Okay, so yeah, so you know, I've always been pretty spiritual. At this point, I feel very solid in my understanding of the role that I play and why I'm here and what I believe in. And so with that, I also have a very deep spiritual connection to the other side, to spirits and all of that. And that was something within my awakening process that I had to really kind of understand for myself and destigmatize, because I'm not from a place that typically observes that. So anyway, on this trip, there were beautiful moments. You know, Arizona is a vortex of energy, and it felt to me out there like angelic energy, like very high frequency. And again, I had prepared, I was very clear. So I was able to receive some high frequencies. Now we did this trip where you go on an ATV self-guided tour, and I had gone with 4 other people. So there was 2 in one, 2 in another, and I was in my own. Partially because I just really wanted my own control, and like I love 4-wheeling and it's just so fun. And so we did this, it was like 3 hours or something. And it was so beautiful. It was just red rocks everywhere. And like there were moments where I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like Red Rock Barbie right now. Like I was like, I wore a bandeau. I was like, I don't even care. Like I prepared for this trip. Like
that sounds like my fantasy.
It was great. And so we ended up, the guy that like rented us our 4-wheelers, he was like, at the end of the tour, before you come back, there's a little spot that says, do not enter, but you're allowed to enter because you're an ATV. And so after all these hours, we show up here, and I'm like, we roll up to the sign, and then there's cascading red rocks everywhere. And there's these ATVs just coming down. It looks like some kind of commercial. I was just like, okay, what are we doing? Like, all right. So we go up, and like, then we reach this plateau, and there's mountains everywhere. We're up high, and it came to me, and it was like, what you were preparing for is coming. And I'm like, okay, here it is coming. Like it was so strong. It was the same voice that had echoed all the times before. And I was like, okay. And so I'm driving, and the 2 are in front of me, and all of a sudden there's this dip, and then I'm not even kidding you, it's like straight up. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way. And I see the first one go down and the second one, and I'm like up at the top looking down. I'm like, there is no way. And there's a little truck like in the valley, or I don't even want to call it a valley. It was like the dip. And I saw the first 4-wheeler stop there, and they talked to the guy in the truck, and then they went. And I was like, oh my God. See the second one go. And I'm like, no, because I didn't have a map. And also my phone wasn't working. So I literally had to go because I had no idea where I was, and I didn't know how to get back. I was like, oh my gosh. So I go down the hill and I'm like, like I'm just like, if this thing flips, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like this is actually legitimately kind of scary.
You think?
Yeah, and I'm like talking to the guy and I'm like really nervous about this. Like this thing, what if it flips? And he's like, I've lived here for however many years. Like just put your foot on the gas and go. And I'm like, oh my God. There's like people in the back of the truck. They're like, you can do it. You can do it. And I'm like, oh. And I just like literally say like a little prayer. I'm just like, please God, get me up this hill. And all of a sudden I go. And when I got up there, I started channeling my dad, and he was literally in the car with me. And we did this four-wheeling adventure together. He had passed several years prior. And, I was always connected with him in the spiritual arena, but he was literally in the four-wheeler with me. And he's like, I'm going to teach you how to drive safely. It's crazy because the way that I learned how to drive was four-wheeling with my dad, these back roads. And so it was just so powerful. And then after my experience with him, then all of my ancestors came, like even the ones I had never met, and angels and animals. And they were like, we love you. We're celebrating you. We support you. You are so amazing. And it's just like these red rock mountains everywhere. And I'm like in this four-wheeler crying, going in mud with my dad. And I know that sounds so wild, but it was like, that was the entry point into my awakening. And, that was like one of the most pivotal experiences with intuition that I have ever had, because it started to open up my understanding of how it worked and what can happen when you exist in alignment and trusting your intuition and knowing that even though it might seem super wild to other people, it will take you places that will awaken you to a degree that you will never ever be able to analyze and conceptualize as possible before you experience it. And that was the start of my awakening and my experience, like really understanding intuition. It was powerful.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so powerful. What a story. What a memory. What an introduction. Oh my God.
Yeah,
yeah, there was no going back after that.
No. Well, no. And then so there was like the person that I went with someone who had planned the trip. And at that time I was really into sound healing. I still am. But I had taken my bowls with me, and that person had like planned a like secret sound healing
in the mountains there.
And it was like, they don't play around in Sedona. It's legitimate. Like it was so we're in Mercury retrograde while we're recording this, so let me just really try to explain to you what happened in the sound healing after that experience. We show up and there's crystals everywhere and like sound healing everywhere. And this woman, she had me at one point. My ancestors came in, but it wasn't just the ancestors that were with me when I was going in the four-wheeler. It was like just a bunch of cloaked white beings. I mean, I can't even explain to you how many. And they were all just paying homage to my journey. And it was wild because now looking back, it's almost like it was the initiation of me coming home to myself. And I literally just got chills down my spine. It was so powerful.
Okay, do you guys see why I'm obsessed with this woman? Holy shit. Yeah. I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember do you remember what your profile was in human design? Were you a 6'2"?
Yeah, the role model hermit.
Okay. How old were you in 2020? How old were you?
So 2020,
if you don't mind saying.
So I was entering into my I think I was completing my Saturn return. So I was like 29 going into 30.
Into 30.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't make this shit up. Do you see that? So as the sixth line, stepping into their second stage, first stage is from 0 to 30, the second stage 30 to 50, and that's when we step back and we open up. It's all about healing. It's all about recognizing. It's all about observing. Like we retreat to embed our wisdom and then reemerge and walk with the people at 50. Like,
Yeah.
literally it.
Yeah. And, you know, that awakening process, I don't know if you want to go into the awakening process, but it was raw. I mean, it got very raw. And I took time to kind of like retreat, and I became one with my cocoon. I did rituals. That's another aspect of this course that I'm really wanting to kind of provide individuals to empower them on their own to do this. But I had rituals and different practices that were super healing and super raw, but it also cultivated this deep understanding of my connection to all that is, and that is what intuition is. Intuition, there's an art and a science to it. And you know, I really do believe we are multidimensional beings. That's why kind of the concept of increase your frequency. Well, there's a lot of frequencies happening a lot of the time. We are multidimensional. There's multiple dimensions of frequencies happening. So we want to be mindful of what we're increasing and how that's going to be impactful for us. What is the goal of increasing your frequency? What are you trying to explore and do? But anyway, I'm not sure where I was going with that, but with the rituals and the practices and the awakening, it can get raw. It's not all super blissful when you're going through the.
I don't think most of it is blissful.
No.
I think maybe eventually you do get to a place when you find this communication or this partnership, this relationship with your intuition, with yourself, that does become quite blissful. But that opening, it's actually like, it's such an unlearning. It's such a disillusionment of everything we usually think is that we've taught to be. That's, you know, it's almost a little bit traumatic. Like I think alongside that observation, that connection period it's a deep healing period, because you just start to realize that what you thought is not. But what is so much greater.
Yeah.
So it's like very worth it, but like so much greater. Yeah. Oh, I'm taking this course. I'm taking this course. I'm signing up for the course.
Yeah.
Officially. And then I'll tell you guys all about, I'll do an episode actually on the things that I learned personally. But I have to take this course because you blow my mind.
I don't want to scare people, but I do think that it might be, you know, I've learned a lot and I want to share it. It needs to be shared, the things that I've learned. And it's so much. There's a lot of different areas, and that's what this course is. That's what I want to do with this is like, almost makes me want to cry, but like give it over, you know? Yeah. And so going back to the whole intuitive one, when I came back from Sedona, literally that week, I started a yoga teacher training. And you talk about doing that while you're going through your awakening. It was definitely an aspect of the awakening.
Yeah.
It was. Woo. But throughout that, I had the opportunity to go to India. It was literally right at the end of my training, and they were supposed to have gone in 2020. And it got pushed back because of COVID. And so I had the opportunity to go. I didn't even know about this trip. All the while, things were kind of shifting and changing with my career a little bit. And I came home after I got the invite, and I was like, I think I need to go. And I actually thought about, after like kind of thinking about this, you know, knowing about this interview, I thought about you, and I was like, oh my gosh, I responded. Such an opportunity.
You responded.
Yeah.
100%.
So yeah, I was just like, I think I need to go. I walked into my house and I just started crying. I'm like, I think India's calling me. I think I'm supposed to go. And so I ended up going to India. I literally had somehow manifested my own business. And throughout that time, I was meditating, obviously going through the yoga teacher training. The idea of intuitive one came to me through meditation. with my inner goddess. She's very Cleopatra-esque. And she kept saying intuitive one because we're all intuitive and we're all one. And and I was like, really, intuitive one? Like, she was like, yeah, it needs to be intuitive one. We are all one and we're all intuitive. And I was like, all right. Like, all right, here we go. And then yeah, so I ended up leaving my job, and then like 4 hours later found myself on a flight to India. I had just thrown stuff in a bag because there was so much going on at that time. And when I was on the flight to India, I was just like, I don't even know these people that I'm going with. What am I doing? Like, what is happening right now?
Then the mind kicks in, right? The sacral got you on the plane, and then it was like, wait, where am I?
Yeah. And you know, throughout that whole time, it was just understanding intuition, understanding myself, understanding the connection. India was so powerful. And when I came back from India, that was when I started my business, and I was doing a lot of integration with understanding what I learned in India, and then also what needed to take place with Intuitive One and how I needed to be used as a channel for this business. And it's not even, I don't even feel like it's a business. It feels more of like a mission. And I'm still navigating that. And my Intuitive One has taught me so much. She is a teacher. She's a guide. There's been so many moments, I'm sure you know, where it's just like, what am I even doing? You know, like, what am I even doing? I didn't go to business school. Like, what is this, right? Like,
oh my God,
so,
I know.
Yeah, that's kind of like what has led me to this place now.
She is you, is what it sounds like.
She is her own being, though, too, it feels like. I think she wants to exist. You know, I'm channeling that the business, but I also think that she wants her own life as well. And yeah, it's very powerful.
It is.
Yeah.
Woo. Okay. Wow. So tell us a little bit about intuition. Like, give us why. Why do we want to connect with our intuition? And what is it about intuition itself? Like, why is this so powerful? And why is this so necessary to be shared? Because I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. So, like I said, there's an art and a science to intuition. Intuition, at the most basic level, is the wisdom and knowledge that surpasses all logical understanding. And when we think about that, you know, our analytical brain, the prefrontal cortex of the human brain, that's our egoic mind, that's what wants to analyze, conceptualize, and make meaning. Intuition, the meaning is already made. It's not anything that we could ever, as human beings, cultivate and create. It's always existed, and it always will exist. It surpasses all time and space. On the most scientific level, my friend Veda Austin, she's doing a lot of research with water as consciousness. She believes that water is the house of the divine. And I believe that within that house is intuition. Intuition is held in the fabric of consciousness. So if you're wanting to manifest, it's not about, like, you hear a lot of people wanting to manifest and do the manifestation stuff. It's more of connecting to the wisdom and knowledge that you already know, that's already innately within you. I realized this in a meditation, of course, then I had to go study this and research it. But when I was going through yoga teacher training, I was meditating and I got to this place of samadhi. And samadhi is bliss. It is complete bliss. And I started thinking about this. I'm like, how can you be so awakened within the body, human body? It's believed we have multiple different energy channels. And the third eye, which would be like around between the eyebrows, is typically considered a very intuitive place. And it's called the third eye. A lot of people or cultures believe that it's kind of this mecca center of intuition. And so, of course, I did all of this research because I'm like, how can it be if my eyes are closed? And I'm so deep in this meditation and so relaxed, how could I feel so awake? And so I started researching this. And of course, I start looking at water and kind of the neurobiology of the brain and how, you know, when our circadian rhythm is very in tune with light. Light is held within water.
Yeah.
So if we aren't taking in a lot of light, we usually fall asleep. if we're taking in a lot of light, we're really awake. You know, it's like, oh, it's daytime, I'm going to be awake. Well, how can you feel so awake if you have your eyes closed and you're in darkness, but you are so awakened? It's because you're meditating with your light. You're meditating with the light within. You're meditating with the electromagnetic radiation within the water of your being, and you're connecting to all that is, which is the intuition.
Wow.
And so there's an art and a science to it. You know, the art is, do you have, like, can you be vulnerable enough with yourself to see beyond what you have been taught or experienced within this physical realm, to know that something exists beyond? And it doesn't even exist beyond, because it's always with you. It's always in the now, which is intuition.
And that's the greatest description I could have ever imagined. Ooh, and it makes perfect sense. I can literally feel it.
Yeah, so if you connect with your intuition, going back to the manifestation, you can manifest anything, because you're co-creating with the
Wow.
knowledge and wisdom that exists beyond time and space.
And we're so often like, we're always going outside of ourselves to
Right.
get, right? It's always outside of ourselves. What do I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so simple, but maybe not easy, but it's so simple, but and maybe uncomfortable. But we have to go inside of ourselves and connect to the isness that it's already yours, that it's all accessible
Yeah.
to us.
Yes.
And this is why this needs to be shared.
Yeah.
Because what would the world look like if we were all so much more tapped into what is accessible to us?
Exactly.
As a collective? Like, what, imagine that world.
Yeah, and then also trusting it and moving forward. So, you know, there's a lot of things, again, that I've learned and that I've experienced with intuition, but me holding on to it is not doing anything for the collective. So there's another aspect of release, letting it go, being vulnerable enough to share. You know, it's for me to go onto a podcast and talk about, you know, this experience with my dad. At this point, you know, I worked through what I needed to work through in order to like feel okay and comfortable and confident to do so. Came out of the psychic closet. But, you know, we have to share these experiences because there are people out there that need to hear it. We have to get out of our own way. And the egoic mind does not want to do that because it wants to stay in a space of perceived safety.
Safety. Yeah.
Or control.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's a lot of people coming out of the spiritual closet now.
Yeah.
And there was a time when there wasn't. And thank you to all of our forefathers, mothers who were able to do that in a time when it was just completely unacceptable. Amazing. It kind of blows my mind when I think, because I can very clearly think of pre-awakening myself. Like I can be her, I can channel her. And then now. And it almost feels like she was blind.
Yeah.
You know, in a way, there was so much not seeing happening.
Yeah.
And in the not seeing, it created quite a bit of misery.
Yeah.
And a lot of longing. So now when I think of her, I do feel so much compassion for her. And it's just wildly amazing that that longing was for a connection with me.
Yeah.
Which is a connection with one.
Yeah.
Which is all that is.
Yes.
And it's insane almost that could be a dirty thing to talk about publicly, you know, but it does make people very uncomfortable at times. It does make people uncomfortable at times.
It does. And, you know, right now with the astrology that's happening, that's the other aspect that has been very helpful to learn on my path. Because we don't just have the energies within ourselves that are impacting things, our energetic frequency and our energetic aura, but also we have the planets. And what the planets are doing with each other right now in history in 2024 are some pretty significant shifts and changes, very significant. And I bring that up because a lot of the old world is crumbling. Just turn on the TV, you can see it. It's like watching a weird movie that is not at all entertaining. It's crumbling. but there are warriors of light binding together in the silence and the stillness together. On Lionsgate, I meditated and I knew, but I didn't realize when I tapped into the meditation on that day, I felt everyone else meditating. I felt it all around the globe. It brought tears to my eyes because there are warriors of light, warriors that know the truth of our oneness that are coming together. And we may not see it necessarily as much right now because it's happening a lot in the stillness and in the silence, but it's happening. And I think that, you know, if it doesn't resonate, then don't make it fit. You know, maybe there are individuals on this planet that that message is intended for, maybe not. But for the ones that it is, like, trust and know that, you know, the warriors of light are binding together. And we are one.
Beautiful. It's so interesting that you say this because on Lionsgate, I also meditated. I wonder if we were meditating at the same time. And my meditation was around a collective desire, a collective manifestation.
Yeah.
I've never done that before. And I can't say that I've ever been a person who was like deep into manifestation. I'm starting to now. And the intrigue, actually, the thing that really has brought me into the point where I'm like, okay, I think I might end up being really obsessed with manifestation now.
Yeah.
And I talked about it in my podcast. I was like, this is the first time that the collective piece, like that made sense to me. Like that, I felt so much more powerful in myself, but I also, that very strong why, and I don't want this to sound like I'm saying that that you can't want desires for yourself. This is not what I mean. But I see a lot of, and basically kind of like the discourse that comes with what we're talking about is I see a lot of people struggling with their desires because it feels selfish. We're taught all of these things. But I had this all of a sudden visceral understanding that everything that I wish to manifest for myself is not just for me.
Right.
No matter what it is. I mean, it could be, like a piece of jewelry. Like, I'm not talking about just like, I want collective healing of the world. I mean, every single thing that I have as a desire within me, a true desire, a soul desire that's coming through me, is for the collective. And therefore, I very much as I want my own desires, I want my own manifestations, I've never felt more like I wanted the world's manifestation. Yeah. And that moment, I was like, oh my God, everything's accessible. It was so moving. And I felt every single person on the planet. I imagined everybody's collective wanting intention in that moment. And I felt freaking powerful. And I was like, wow, that's what manifestation is.
That's what it's about.
That's what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a higher like frequency of understanding and of wanting. It's not from not to say the egoic mind doesn't serve a purpose, because it does. You know, we have it for a reason, and I think that that's something just to contemplate in and of itself. Why do we have this thing within our brain that makes meaning and that, you know, creates language and observes time? Why do we have that? And I feel like a lot of spiritual teachers up until this point have really kind of poo-pooed on the egoic mind, but actually it's something very beautiful that we as human beings are really one of the only species that have it. So what are we supposed to do with it? And I think that what you just explained is getting to that point of taking that understanding and putting meaning and being able to conceptualize the meaning behind it and put words to it so that we can continue to share it and continue to echo it. Yeah. I think part of my mission is I very much love this type of spirituality that is human. Like I'm not, and I think from my chart, from my gene keys, from my human design, I'm actually, as line 6 is,
a lot of our power actually does really come from meditating. Like really, I think in Gene Keys, the word is actually called absent. Like we do need to almost leave our bodies and then we reemerge with this wisdom, but it's the in and out.
Yes.
It's not just the leaving, it's the coming back in and then walking as a human being with that connection. Like that actually is the power. That's the stuff that I really do feel like is part of my mission to share, because this is not about poo-pooing humanness. It's like about how amazingly beautiful it is, and to be intentional with the time that we have. Like, this is a temporary experience. We were incarnated for a reason. We were given intuition for, like, why were we given all of these things plus flesh? Like, the beauty of it blows my mind, you know?
Yeah, I actually have come to the understanding for myself that it's actually a responsibility. It's a responsibility to be human. We have innate responsibilities, especially if you consider yourself a spiritual teacher or mentor, or just in and of itself, someone that relates to anything spiritual, energetic, or anything beyond the density of humanness. I believe that we have a responsibility to go into the cave, wrestle with it, whatever we find in the cave. If there's any nuggets of wisdom or any beautiful gems that we find in the cave, we have a responsibility to then bring it and share it and cultivate it in a way that just empowers and uplifts humanity,
Most definitely. And that makes me think of this connection with intuition, this building of this relationship. Even if 3 people listen to this and are moved by it and are and go deeper into it, I know that in my own life, my connection with my intuition, the way that has expanded my aura, the way that I have been able to influence the people that are close to me, even if it's not all of us, like the ones, like you're saying, like those binding with their light, like it has such a powerful ripple effect.
Yeah, it's not just us. You think about, I say that because think about going back to the water, the science. We are about 90% water. If in the air, there's water everywhere. And again, props to Veda. She's doing amazing research. But with that being said, we have pores. Our skin is very porous. There is no real separation. Yes, there is. There is. I mean, we have our skin barrier, but ultimately there's pores. It's water coming in and out.
In and out.
In and out. When we breathe in and out, there's water. And within that water, there's light. And so when we are doing something, regardless of if anybody hears the tree fall or the tree falls by itself, there is an innate connection to the collective. It does not matter. Yes, it can be received and observed by other people. But ultimately, our beingness is the collective in and of itself.
Oh, I felt that in all my bones. That's powerful. That's the first time I've heard the tree fall scenario, and the answer is yes, it happened. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're pools of water. And when thinking about the science of intuition, at least from what I understand it as, it makes sense. So
it makes perfect sense. And I really do love having the scientific aspect of it. It does give me a full rounded understanding, because again, human spirit, like I do like the tangible aspect of this, and our humanness being involved, knowing that my skin and the transmuting of water, like you move differently in the world with this knowledge. Not just to appease the analytical mind or the logical mind. It's like it really gives me a greater sense of awareness to pay attention around me.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing is with the frequency. So it's very buzzy in the spiritual world to increase your frequency. There's a caveat to that though. So again, we're multidimensional beings. Within our within water, light is actually defined as the electromagnetic radiation. It's electromagnetic radiation. So if you think about literally a radiator, if the radiator is not aligned, if it's not working and it's optimal, then no matter what frequency goes in, there could be some things that don't really do so great with it. If you're aligned, you can take in frequencies. If you're grounded, you can take in frequencies and you can remain grounded and integrate it. If you are not aligned, doesn't matter how high you take your energy, you may, it may not be beneficial for you because you may not be grounded. So that's something to really also, I just wanted to like share for the listeners. Yes, you want to increase your frequency, but we also want to be very in tune with our humanness and being grounded so we can integrate and we can cultivate and operate from these higher frequencies that we're calling in. It's very important.
Is this going to be part of the course?
Oh yeah, that's
okay.
It's a huge preface of this course is alignment. It's so important.
Okay. We're gonna have a link for everybody, right?
Yeah. I'll give you all of the
Woo, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I feel like we could talk about this forever. But Lauren has promised me that we're gonna dive into one of her gifts, one of your amazing services that you offer.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do today?
Yeah, so I was thinking I could go into the Akashic record and see what's going on with you. It won't be a super long thing, but I'll just maybe touch on some themes that I see. And then I can also look at the 𝘓𝘂 card. So 𝘓𝘂 is a 𝘠𝘓𝘵. And in addition to intuition, I am pretty psychic. So
just a tad.
With that, tools can be used. And so I utilize 𝘓𝘂. It's a 𝘠𝘓𝘵 that started out in Germany and France and similar to tarot. However, it's a little more practical. So I can kind of tap into that and see if there's anything specific that you just want to have more understanding on.
Yay, I would love that. And this is something that people can book, or is this an Akashic reading on its own?
So I have under the booking, it's considered a psychic reading. I also have psychic mediumship where I can connect with the unseen. But I do have astrology and psychic readings, and this aspect would be in addition to the astrology for those two. So and it really can be very helpful to, I really truly consider myself a multidimensional being. So it's nice to tap into all of the different dimensions to like get a very holistic perspective as to what is going on with you. And if there's anything specific you want to look at, it's helpful to kind of look at it from all different angles.
Okay,
so my eyes will be closed. I always ask if it's okay for me to tap into your energy. So if I have permission, that would be awesome. And my eyes will be closed, but I'll come back.
Woo.
Okay, can you say your full name and date of birth for me, please?
Christelle Robinson Tiedemann, January 14th, 1985.
Okay, so what I saw and felt was, I hope you don't mind me sharing.
You can share.
Okay, so it seems like right now you're very frazzled. It's very much like, go here, go there. And it's like, there were at 1 minute, it showed your husband and you're like, thank God, that's not something I really like, that's good. Like, I don't have to like worry right now about like that area of my life. Like this, thank God for that. But then it's also like, oh, like go this way, go that way. And And then you've got this other aspect that you're experiencing right now where it's like, I know that everything's okay. I know it's all okay. It's going to be okay. It is okay. It's all calm. But you're in this state where you're like, like, you're like almost like a squirrel that's like, I don't know, like, and you've got this like anxiousness, but you're in between this energy where it's like you feel, from what I sensed, and I hope, I mean, your husband, this is your perspective, but it very much seems like you and hubby, you feel good about it. Like you're like, thank God I have his support. Thank God our relationship is how it is. I feel good about it. It's like I don't have to worry. That's one less thing that I have to worry about right now. I love him. He loves me. Like it's good. And then like beyond, it was like beyond this window was just like this very calm, serene, everything's okay. Everything is okay. It's always going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I am okay. But then you're in this state of like tension and anxiety and like it's almost like there's so many directions that you're trying to go and wanting to go and trying to navigate, and it's like, what? Like, wow. You're
Oh
gonna
my
be
God.
okay.
Oh my gosh. I'm not, I think the only reason I'm not moved to tears is because I had this awareness already myself. Especially this morning.
Yeah.
This morning, like you literally described exactly where I am. Exactly where I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
To the T. This is exactly how I feel. And it's like I don't know. And at the same time, I'm like, it's everything is okay and it's fine. And I also feel pulled in 50 different directions. I feel like I have one employee and we are understaffed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
It
yeah.
also seemed like in that like yeah, just one thing to another to another to another and like very like anxious. It's almost like you feel small in those moments. And you may even make yourself small in those moments to like navigate and be agile within it. But I
Mhm.
would just challenge yourself with that type of mentality or that type of approach if that resonates with you, because ultimately it may not serve you in the way that you think it might be serving you.
I don't think it would serve me at all. So challenge myself in terms of just moving out of it or deciding instead of needing to be in all places, like to be fully energetically present wherever I am, maybe in less. Is this what you mean by challenge myself?
So I guess from what I experienced and saw, it was very much like it was all in one room. So it's not like that could be one aspect, is to contain one thing, then contain the next, instead of it all being and just you're going in a circle in the same room of all these different things that you're experiencing and navigating. But when I say challenge yourself, it's almost like if you're playing small or you're making yourself small in order to be agile with all these things and try to take on all these different things, it may not be of benefit for you to be doing that. Even though it might feel strategic, or it
Mm,
might feel like, oh, I can like do this, do that, and like almost like fly under the radar or not take up as much space as you can. It's like challenge yourself with that, because
I get
there
it.
might be a better system or strategy that you could utilize. And
I get it.
it might feel foreign to you, because it seems like there's a little bit of, when you came to Intuitive One, you spoke about the kind of younger you version. It is a smaller, it felt like a smaller you. It felt like a smaller energy of like a younger you. So this might be an aspect of like, okay, I need to step into a space in a way that I never have.
Yeah.
And that might be hard to explore and do, but ultimately it probably will be a benefit with where you're wanting to go to be. centered
I get it. No, that
ultimately.
really that resonates deeply. And I actually think that it is partially the movement towards this that has increased the scrolling, that has increased the anxiety. There is an awareness of it's time to take up more space, to be bigger, to be unfiltered, these kind of
Yeah.
things. And it's in the process of
Yeah.
that feels uneasy in the navigation. This is the timing of this is beautiful.
Yeah, and I also think it's okay to open the window and get some fresh air. It's okay to, if there's any aspect of isolation, if you do things on your own by yourself behind, I don't want to say locked doors, but like just shielding the world off and doing it on your own and trying to navigate it in your own way, that can be really beautiful. But you can open the window. You're allowed to like take a minute to breathe. And I think that just keep in mind that like it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to introduce other people to your messy process, and whatever it looks like, if it's kind of wild and weird and it feels all over the place, like that's okay. And you don't have to do it alone. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, thank you.
you got this.
That is oof, eerily on point, but I'm not surprised. I expected you to be like needle direct, but like, geez. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the ocean showed up. So I don't know if you're going to the ocean, if you're planning a trip literally by the ocean or by water, but that might be something to kind of keep in mind, because it's almost
Hmm.
like there was another aspect of, well, it's going to be okay when I like experience this. So your soul
Mm,
might be wanting to be around water, or um, yeah, that might feel good, is to be
okay,
around
that
some.
was unknown to me. Okay.
Yeah. Keep your eyes out for an option to be at water.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's beautiful.
my pleasure. Yeah, so I do use Lenormand with that as well. So I don't know if you want to ask just like one Lenormand question. I know we might be getting close to time, so it's totally up to you.
Sure. So what do I ask? Anything that's
So what do you want to know? Anything specific? Uh,
never very specific with these kind of things. I don't really I never have
or
uh
I can see what's just going on with you, more so than what
I
I just.
like that idea. Can we do kind of just intuitively like what's going on or
Yeah.
where the cards are taking us in direction?
Okay. So yeah, so hubby showed up. Um, hmm. Okay, so ultimately it looks like a pretty favorable reading. It looks like if it hasn't already happened, there's going to be some kind of letter about your husband's health, or maybe even a text message of him texting you about his health, something like that. So keep your eyes on that. That's not something that you will be provoking. It's going to be more so of like the universe bringing it in. It's not, it looks favorable. It doesn't
Okay.
look bad. But it
Okay.
could even be like something related to like a wellness routine or something like that, or even
Huh.
like, um, you're the signifier of this reading. So it may even be like something related to your health to him. Like you might text him about your health or something like that. Um, it looks like something's going on with a trusted friend that you're feeling a little anxious about. Um, and this trusted friend could even be like your actual, like your dog, but it looks like somebody that's trustworthy and somebody that's very close to you. You're having a little bit of anxiety related to that. And I could go deeper into that, but I will save it. It does look like there's lucky new news coming your way. And this is related to something that you've been working towards, something that you've been putting your energy towards, something that you've been creating. And it does look very lucky. It looks like a new beginning. It looks favorable. Um, just just keep your eyes out for anxiety. It does look like you're going to be experiencing some anxiety, if not already, which I guess we kind of already discussed a little bit.
Definitely already.
Um, but ultimately this looks super favorable. And, you know, the news might come through a text message or email. Yeah, it looks super fortunate. The moon showed up, so it may even be around the time of right now, around the full moon, but keep your eyes peeled for that because
Okay.
it's coming. New news is coming. The birth of
What?
something new, something very lucky and favorable. You know, the moon, especially because both you and your husband are in this reading, also can signify romance. So, you know, you guys might
Mm.
be exploring something new together in that area as well. That might create some anxiety. You know, I would just say release some control for a minute.
Okay. Lauren's sending a strong message here.
You got this, man.
Oh my God, I love you. Release
Let it
some
flow.
control. Okay, after this, I am going to chill out for the rest of the day. Oh, release some control. Thank you. Man, you're good. You've got something because this is not just like the information that you're sharing. I actually can, I feel your sight of me.
That's great. I don't know what that means.
Like I feel like you're like I can feel like you see it all. Like I feel the gaze. Like I feel
Mhm.
there's an opening and you're seeing it. And I do feel in general like I do have this kind of, I don't know, I get these senses and it doesn't necessarily make sense to be able to logically explain it, but it's between people. Like I can feel a person's kind of like awareness of me or vice versa, and like the shield version or like the inside, you know what I mean? Because we're all layered. So
Yeah.
even at my most open and relaxed, and I would consider myself a more natural kind of authentic person, like I don't have too many airs, but you have a very almost penetrating gaze, which is not in human design. That's a very projector thing, but as a projector,
Mhm.
that usually it's usually me who's doing that,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, after you had visited Intuitive One, I went back to the Gene Keys and I was exploring that a bit. And my life's work is omniscience, which in the most humble way to explain it is knowing. And so I started
Mm.
really thinking about that. I guess this might be a good ending point, I'm not sure, but with intuition, the highest frequency of intuition is clarity.
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to see. And for me, it's like taking the sight of what I see and knowing it, integrating it into the knowingness. And I think that like kind of talking about the sight and all of that, it is literally like a tangible expression of what's going on energetically within me, of kind of
Wow.
taking that sight and then understanding it and knowing it. And I think that that's just always how it's been for me. It's just now at this point is kind of a deep understanding of how it operates and what to do with it. Yeah.
Wow. That is so beautiful. Oh, what a kind of like, I don't know if the word's validating, but a moment you you intuitive one's already created. You were already brought here. And then to know that your life's work is knowing.
Yeah. Isn't that
It
wild?
is it
Yeah. I had
what
no,
the
I
like
did not
what
know about the
the
Gene Keys before Intuitive One was created. I did not know, but it all makes sense. It all,
it's just, oh my gosh, I never get tired of that like
yeah,
what
yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
I believe omniscience is the I. Um, I had no idea what an
You're
intuitive
walking the
one was
path
created.
whether you like it or not. Like,
Yeah.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Lauren, for sharing with us today.
Yeah.
That was amazing. The fangirling continues. Please, everyone, check her out. Check out the Intuitive One. Links for the course are in the show notes. I highly recommend all the services, getting in touch, joining the community. It's such a loving space here. And thank you. I hope to have you back. I hope to
Yeah.
be
Thank
back
you.
on Intuitive One, but
Yeah.
you're amazing. This was such a gift.
You're amazing too. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next time.